set with that responsibility, man.
Okay.
I don't need to deal with any of that.
Right.
Let the professionals handle it.
I would. Yeah. No doubt.
It's a big gig.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know what anyone else has going on, but the last thing I want to do is deal with that.
Same here. That's why I like to just talk about people running for stuff.
And let everyone know there are options.
That's true.
Yeah, you're a nice guy, Peter. Thank you.
But we got a lot of new people running for alderman, running for some of those seats. We got a lot of people running for mayor.
We got to support them.
It's, get out there. And like I said, Carol Robidoux and Andy, they're going to have that get to know the candidate thing going on. So we'll keep you posted of that, too.
Good morning, Manchester.
So now is Clemento's closed today or not?
Clemento's will be closed today.
Closed today.
Due family.
Okay. Will that sign be on the...
We'll have to put something up.
Okay.
My wife will take care of it.
All right. Well, thank you, Greg
Sad.
Joseph. I am sad, and hopefully our everything... it's very sad. Very sad. I don't know. What do we say? What do we say?
Condolences
Condolences. That's the word, yes.
to your family from ours.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us this morning. We'll be back tomorrow with Bill Cini's Trivia. Always fun. We will... all right, let's get out of here. Come out of here.
This hour on WMNH is sponsored by CGI Business Solutions, located at 5 Dartmouth Drive in Auburn. They serve all your business needs, including employee benefits planning, corporate design and business administration, investments and wealth management, and customized business insurance solutions. Their phone number is 866-841-4600 or on the web at cgibusinesssolutions.com.
Bring your kitchen to life with Queen City Cabinetry, located at 87 Elm Street in the historic Sunbeam Mall in Manchester. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They can be reached at 603-222-2007 or on the web at queencitycabinetrynh.com. Come see the possibilities. Queen City Cabinetry, another proud sponsor of WMNH.
Come on down to the Hop Knot at 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few bottles of wine. We do the traditional pretzel, and we have multiple flavors for that. We also do stuffed pretzels, pretzel sandwiches, 3 dessert pretzels, and pretzel knots.
The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza at 1000 Elm Street.
Clemento's Pizzeria, family friendly, awesome for a date night. Clemento's Pizzeria. For delivery, call 603-782-8450. Clemento's Pizzeria, the best pizza in town. 1875 South Willow Street in Manchester, New Hampshire. Best cocktails around. Come in as friends and leave as family.
You are listening to WMNHLP, Manchester's radio, broadcasting at 95.3 megahertz frequency modulation from the top of 1000 Elm Street. Our studios are located at 1045 Elm Street and licensed to Manchester Public Television Service in Manchester, New Hampshire, USA. Contact us by email at WMNH953@gmail.com or through our website at WMNHradio.org.
I see myself in the next 10 years, a skinny dork with a tattered beard, pinned to the bone on my shins and wrists, drunk by a storefront like I don't exist. Develop! 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 Quarters in my hand in line to get a soda. Everyone around me says I push too hard. Well, I don't need your negativity in here. I'm gonna write lines till I can't no more. Sometimes you gotta get pissed. You gotta cross everything off your list. Fix your drugs like a scientist. Open up the Excel sheet and give them your best. Now get a load of this. It's like HDFLCSS. Develop! 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 Develop!
Right, you alright, mate? You look like proper shy.
I'm working 48 hours a week at a tech job in the city. I've been drinking too much, I've been sleeping too much. What am I supposed to do about that?
Listen, it's all a mental game, right?
Mental game?
Yes. You gotta have the right attitude if you're gonna get the job done.
Alright, then let's do it. Go! Develop! 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 Develop!
Hides folders in the stall, throws ketchup against the wall, and then he has the gall to cry witch hunt. Master at self-projectioning, he planned the insurrectioning, then tried to rig electioning too. It's a witch hunt, always witch hunt. Or he croaks, it's a hoax, or that is not true. While minions pin their hopes on him, he thinks we're all just dopes like him, and yells it's rigged as if it's on cue. It's such a well-worn pitch from the fascist despot niche. He could try to stage another coup. Says witch hunt, a crazy witch hunt, and that is the line he chooses to spew. Once you arouse the fear in him, the crazy stunts appear in him. He doesn't seem to know what to do. Witch hunt's a Trumpy myth. Wait till he meets Jack Smith, and justice drops the other shoe.
Hey everybody, welcome. Here we go. It is that time again. Matt Connerton Unleashed. We are live on this Tuesday afternoon from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Although it looks like it must be starting to rain. Yeah, it got very dark out there. I think there's a storm moving in. I think I probably got here just in time, but it is glorious nonetheless here from the studios of WMNH, also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. And hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. You can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. Today is Tuesday, July 18, 2023. So nice to have you all with me. By the way, a couple of songs I played to open the show today. I played A Web Developer by the band The Geratones, or actually it's a duo. I guess technically it's not really a band, right, if it's only two guys. The great duo The Geratones, who were here with us live in studio a few weeks ago. But I played that song because it popped into my head today as I was doing some web design stuff. I added a new chat box, an AI chat box to mattconnerton.com, and I'm excited about it. I mean, it definitely works. I installed it correctly. Now it's just a matter of getting it to learn. AI, you have to teach it. It has to learn things. It's very, very interesting. I feel a lot of pressure to keep up with all this technology. So anyway, I thought, you know what? I'll play that track, Web Developer. I think that's appropriate, by the Geratones. Really, really fun band. And then we also played something from the Parody Project YouTube channel, Witch Hunt. It says here, Witch Hunt is a parody of the Frank Sinatra hit Witchcraft. There you go. So, and we'll get into that in a moment. There's some legal news regarding the former president, actually quite a bit of it. But 603-250-6007 is the studio line, 603-250-6007. If you would like to join me today on the program, also you can text me at 617-917-4476. I'm on social media at Matt Connerton. You can email me, matt@mattconnerton.com, or you can use the new chat box at mattconnerton.com. I should see it during the show if you choose that option. Of course, you can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat, and we'll say hello to everybody in there in a moment. But the best thing to do so that we can hear and enjoy your dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. I should probably open the chat box on my browser in case anyone does decide to send me a message during the program. I want to make sure I can see it. But I won't respond to you in the chat box itself. I'll respond to you on the show because I'm, in the middle of doing the show. So if you type something to me in the chat box, I'll respond to you verbally via the radio show. So that'll be, ordinarily, that's not what would happen. Ordinarily, you would get a response, an automated response via AI in the chat box. I'm pretty excited about this. I think it's going to, I hope it works. Notifications blocked by your browser. Oh, I need to turn on my notifications if I want to actually see the allow notifications in your browser. All right. Well, anyway, I'll get a notification on my phone regardless. Anyway, if you send me something, I'll try to notice. 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. Let's go ahead and say hello to everybody in the Facebook live chat, and then we'll get into all this stuff. Kind of a big news day. Melanie La Liberty from the great state of Vermont joins us in the chat room. Hello, Melanie. Also, JFed, also from the great state of Vermont, of course, says good afternoon, everyone. Jenny is in the chat room and says shalom, peeps. Eric Street joins us in the chat. Hello, Eric. Eric says, I'm using my radio to listen just like Retro Spectrum. Nice sound quality. Yes, of course, of course. Tom Blanchard says, oh, good, we're finally getting some rain. Yes, I know. It's been so dry lately. Yeah, it's been, I'll tell you what. Well, you know, we have had stretches this summer of no rain. We have had long stretches of just hot, dry weather. But then when we do get the rain, we get a whole lot of rain in a very short period of time. And then we get the flash flooding and whatnot. And it seems like lately there's been quite a few instances, although I don't know if I didn't see anything about a flash flood warning this afternoon, but the wind is picking up out there. And I do believe it's going to, it might storm somewhat. So I'm glad that I got here before the rain began. We should get into some stuff. What do you think? Yes, today was a big day in legal news for the former president, Donald John Trump. Both good and bad news. The bad news, of course, being that he got received a target letter, and we'll talk about what that is. Regarding the January 6th investigation, which is a little bit of a misnomer, but we'll talk about that also. That's the bad news. The good news is he got a target letter about the January 6th investigation. Now, why do I say that? How is that good news? Well, Trump is in a unique position in that as these indictments sort of stack up, and as the legal peril that he finds himself in begins to grow, obviously, that's pretty stressful, I would imagine. I mean, I've never even been arrested, so I don't know what it's like to be indicted for things and being charged with things. I don't know how that all goes. But I do know this. Trump is in a unique position where, as these things happen, it is an incredible fundraising opportunity for him. Granted, that money ends up being, just paid to his legal team. Assuming he remembers to pay them, which has been a bit of an issue in the past. He doesn't always pay people. Rudy Giuliani apparently never got paid, which is why he may very well have flipped on his former boss. But we'll leave that aside for the moment. But yeah, I mean, it's good news politically for Trump, of course. We always find out about these things from him. For example, if you think back to when the search happened at Mar-a-Lago, for the secret documents. How did we learn about that initially? He posted on Truth Social what was going on. The FBI tried to keep it relatively low key. So we might not have known about it. I mean, we would have found out about it, but we wouldn't have necessarily found out about it as quickly as we did had it not been for Trump posting about it and bringing it to our attention. But of course, there is a business motive for doing that. The next day, he raised a ton of money. Every time there's a new legal problem for Trump, he raises a tremendous amount of money. It's really remarkable. And of course, the fundraising emails go out in a timely fashion. And so he's got quite an operation going there. So this is good news for him in that sense. Every time something bad happens legally, like a target letter, and if you get a target letter, it usually means you're almost definitely about to be indicted. They don't send those just to be nice and give you a heads up and say, hey, buddy, just want you to know we're kind of looking into some stuff. No, that's usually a precursor to an indictment. Almost always, from what I understand. Again, I've never been in that situation. Or as Tiny D might say, of course, Governor Ron DeSantis, don't blame me for calling him Tiny D. That's one of Trump's nicknames for him. And that's the one, that's my favorite as well. As Tiny D once said, I don't know what goes into paying off a porn star. Anyway, so with each bad thing that happens, it has this effect of it. I mean, I think he's going to be the Republican nominee anyway. I'd say it's probably a 98% chance, right? But with each bad thing that happens, it further cements that he will definitely be the nominee. Because the modern Republican Party is become such a cult of personality revolving around Trump, this only further solidifies him with the base. Every bad thing that happens, he says, they're not after me, they're after us, they're after all of us, and his base eats it up, and they give him more money. It's nice work if you can get it. So, all of the legal problems, they further cement the likelihood that he will be the nominee. He absolutely will be. I'm quite certain of it. But while it makes him a stronger and stronger potential nominee for the Republican nomination for the presidency, it also makes him a worse and worse general election candidate. I don't think that in a general election, when you're trying to court independents or swing voters who maybe are not necessarily independents, but they don't always vote with their party, when you're trying to, or maybe even when you're trying to court moderate suburban Republicans who maybe aren't so into you, you in this case being Donald Trump, having multiple criminal indictments might not be quite so helpful. So again, while it does help him in terms of getting the nomination and further assures that he will be the nominee, it will hurt him in the general election. I mean, it's a fascinating time to be alive, to say the least. I never in my life would have imagined that we would be talking about someone who is on their way to being a general election candidate. I mean, this time next year, they'll be having the Republican convention where he's accepting the nomination, and they'll go crazy for him, and there will be a lot of enthusiasm as he has multiple criminal indictments. So who knows if any of them will go to trial before then. But, I mean, to say we are living through an unprecedented time is an understatement. I mean, we've never seen anything like this. I mean, it's a neat trick that he's pulled. Hey, credit where due. I mean, if you're a longtime listener or perhaps even a newer listener, you've kind of got an idea of how I feel about him. But I will say this, he in terms of marketing and branding himself, bravo. I don't know who else could have maneuvered himself into a position, but it happened very early on, right? He was able to establish this very early on. Remember when he said it's become such a famous quote, infamous, although I think at this point you can say a famous quote back during the 2016 campaign when he said, I could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and not lose a single supporter. That was at the time, figuratively speaking, that actually seemed pretty solid, right? I mean, my God, he could say John McCain wasn't a war hero because he got captured, and people thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be the end of him, and it turned out no. All of a sudden, most of the Republican Party just said, oh, okay, I guess we hate John McCain now, and instead of turning against him over that comment. Next thing I know, I see all these Republicans on Fox News talking about how much they despise John McCain and what a horrible person John McCain was, just because of what Trump said about him. So I knew very early on, and I think that was before. That was probably what led Trump to making that comment about I could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue. If you could say that about the revered and respected John McCain, and just by you saying something terrible about John McCain, all of a sudden, a large swath of the Republican Party decides, oh, yeah, actually, we hate John McCain, too. Overnight. I mean, literally overnight. It was incredible. I'd never seen anything like that. So I knew very early on he had managed to establish just a stunning psychological hold over a very large part of the party. So when he said he could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and not lose any support, he was right. But I think he was more right than people probably even he realized. At the time, I said, yeah, figuratively speaking, that's true, hyperbolically. Now, today, looking back at that moment, I would say that's literally true. He could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue, and most MAGA people would say, well, whoever he shot, I'm sure they deserved it. So he's in a very unique position. I never would have imagined that in American politics we would see anything like this, where someone keeps getting indicted for things and it actually helps them. His support among Republicans goes up in the polls, and he raises more and more money. It's really astonishing. I just never would have imagined we would see a phenomenon like this in American politics. Again, I think it makes him a worse general election candidate. I would think people generally aren't excited necessarily about voting for someone with multiple criminal indictments, but the way it helps him consolidate support among Republicans is really really stunning to me. So we'll get into some of the details about what happened today in a moment, but I do see some new entrants into the Facebook live chat. Let's see. Isaac Banks joins us, of course, from Greensboro, North Carolina, says, "Good morning, hashtag Matt Connerton. Today is my birthday." Well, happy birthday to you. It is afternoon, and you are in North Carolina, so I believe you're in the same time zone, but good afternoon to you, Isaac Banks. Isaac Banks says, "I'm age 43 years old, hashtag Matt." Well, very nice, very nice. I saw a coffee mug once. I think it said on it, it said, life begins at 43, which I thought was unusually specific. Jenny says, happy birthday. Crystal, of course, our friend from the great state of Illinois, joins us. Melanie says, "Is that your all-time record for being alive? Nice job." Yes. Let's see. Crystal says, happy birthday. Alex Whiteley, one of our friends from the UK, joins us and says, "Evening, folks. Happy birthday, Isaac Banks." Let's see. Isaac Banks says, "I was born July 18th, 1980. All right. Very good. 603-250-6007. The studio line is open if you'd like to join us. 603-250-6007. But we'll get into what's happening today with this Target letter. There's really two big bits of legal news for Trump. One is the Target letter, and the other is Judge Eileen Cannon today is supposed to be ruling on something regarding the schedule for his secret documents case. Looks like our friend Ron is on the line. Hi, Ron.
Hey, Matt. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Great. Hey, thanks again for working with my sister-in-law the other day. We didn't reach the goal that we wanted to, but that doesn't mean that it was unsuccessful. So just kudos on that. Thanks for delivering.
Oh, of course. I'm very glad that you reached out to me.
Oh yeah. I would have yesterday, but I don't know if I fell asleep early or whatever. I meant to.
Yeah.
But
no. I mean, thank you for reaching out to me to do a session with your sister-in-law.
Yeah, I definitely. You responded quickly, and I thought that was awesome.
Oh, well, glad to do it.
All right, my friend. Hey, go out and buy your Megabucks ticket for the top up buck or $1 billion. $1
billion? Is that what you said? $1 billion with a B?
Yeah, with a B. I just bought 2 of them.
Jeepers.
And if I win, you guys are all getting new furniture in that studio.
Well, we are going to be moving to a different studio, so I'd hold off on that. I'd see what we need at the new place, but well, I'll
let you go, and I just wanted to say hi to Melanie out there.
Oh, very good. Well, all right, Ron.
Okay, bud.
All right, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that was our friend Ron. Yes, I did a hypnotherapy session over the weekend with his sister-in-law. So who is lovely, by the way. I enjoyed meeting her virtually. We did this online. But 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007, if you would like to join us today. So CNN.com has this. Actually, let me refresh it in case there's some new information. The latest on the special counsel's probe into Trump in 2020 election aftermath. Oh, Melanie says, why hello, Ron? Keep those thoughts clean. Oh, my goodness. Scott Robinson joins us in the Facebook live chat and says, Trump doesn't get Target letters. He gets Targa letters? I don't get it. Feel free to clarify that, Scott. I think there's a joke in there, but it's lost on me. We have a call. Let's see who's on the line. I think I might know who this is. Hi, welcome to Matt Connerton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hello, Matt. So this is Jerry Robinson.
Oh, the great Jerry Robinson. We love us some Jerry Robinson around here. How are you, sir?
I really appreciate that, Matt. So listen, I just wanted to say that I've been tuning into your show. Really love exactly what it is you've been doing. You've been bringing up very good topics that make me think. And of course, me as a 76-year-old man, I do need to think more to keep my brain sharp.
Yes, very important. And take ginkgo biloba. I'm told works well for brain health.
What was it called?
Ginkgo biloba. Not to be confused with what Shaggy says during that song. I can't remember the name of it. Yes, ginkgo biloba.
Oh, excellent. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
So, listen, things are, I just wanted to let you know personally, things are going very good with the album. I've got all your files. We're setting up Studio D now, getting my mixer to get all the music ready. And then, of course, I know I've told you, but I want to tell everyone that we're going to have a live performance. It's going to be a private live performance, of course. And we're going to record it and put out not only the album of albums, but also a live album as well.
Ooh, I can't wait. That will be amazing.
It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic, Matt. So I'm really excited. But, I just wanted to call in, just see how you're doing. I haven't heard anything from Billy. I hope he's doing okay. And Alan Patchar, of course. But I hope you have a great rest of your day. All the best, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry. Bye-bye. All right, that's our friend Jerry Robinson, of course, from the band Jerry Robinson and the Scumbags. And, of course, I am credited as the bass player on that hit single, I'm the Man. Yes, Matzo. That's me. Wow, I'm really excited. It's wonderful to get to work with Jerry, a true talent. And, he's an older guy, but I think he's, look, I'm just going to say this. I think his best days are ahead of him. I think he's got enormous potential. I think that in terms of not only do I think he's going to be very famous with the music, but I think he's the next Howard Stern. I think he's the next rated R comedy star. And he has the seal of approval from my father. My dad called in the other day and talked about how much he loves Jerry Robinson. I think we all love Jerry Robinson. I know one person who's not fond of him, but we don't care about him. We don't even talk about that guy. But no, Jerry Robinson, truly remarkable. Truly remarkable. By the way, I opened my show yesterday with the song Susie Q by Creedence, which was a little inside, but hopefully Jerry heard that. Oh, Scott Robinson clarified the joke. Target. He doesn't get Target letters. He gets Target letters, I guess, because he's fancy, because he's a billionaire. Oh, JFed says, happy birthday, Isaac Banks. It's been your birthday for a month. Is that true? Wow. All right, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. If you'd like to join us today. Isaac Banks says, how is your dad? Hashtag Matt Connerton. He's good. He's good, far as I know. So here's the latest on this. By the way, so when we talk about the thing that I wanted to clarify, again, it often gets... when we're talking about these various cases, the various legal issues that the former president is dealing with, sometimes in shorthand, we refer to the January 6th investigation, which is really more about, not about January 6th specifically, but seems to be, from what we know about obstruction, is what's really being investigated there. Did the former president try to obstruct Congress? Because, Congress, of course, has to certify the election. Did Trump obstruct Congress from doing their job. The legislative branch, did the executive branch obstruct the legislative branch, would be another way of thinking about it, from doing their job, certifying the election. Oh, here's the rain. I just heard thunder, and it is raining out. So here's the latest on this. Let's look at this. Oh, actually, well, we've got a couple things here. Okay, former President Donald Trump said today in a social media post that he's been informed by special counsel Jack Smith that he is the target of the criminal investigation into efforts to overturn the 2020 election leading up to the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol. Smith has declined to comment on the letter. A target letter from federal prosecutors to Trump makes clear they are focused on Trump's actions in the probe and not just of those around him who tried to stop his election loss. The move is a sign Trump may be charged again. And by the way, it is most likely. These letters do not go out unless they are planning to indict. Also, I learned something today that I didn't realize. I didn't know. I mean, I kind of had an idea about this, but I didn't know the statistic is as high as it is. More than 90%, when the Department of Justice brings a case like this, more than 90% of these federal cases that are brought are actually, they never go to trial. They result in plea deals where the defendant tries to plead out. The reason being, if they do go to trial, the government almost always wins. But what it also means is they don't charge unless they think they can win. You know, there is such a thing as prosecutorial discretion. A prosecutor, just because someone is caught doing something illegal and maybe they're charged with it, even if it's something very serious, if a prosecutor at any level, I don't just mean at the DOJ, at any level, could be the local prosecutor in your city, could be anybody. If a prosecutor doesn't think they can win, they can say, well, we're not going to go forward with this case because we don't think we can win, or we're not sure that we can win. You know, it depends on whether or not the prosecutor wants to take the risk. You know, they might, again, it all depends on the situation and who the prosecutor is, perhaps who the defendant is. You know, they might say, we think we can win, so this is worth prosecuting. They might say it's a long shot, but no one is above the law. So even though we think we might very well lose, we're going to go through with this. Or they might say, we're sure that this defendant is guilty and this is a serious crime, but we are not confident that we have enough evidence to convict, so we're going to pass. They have the discretion to do that, prosecutorial discretion. But apparently, from what I understand, from what I've been learning, when the Department of Justice charges you, they don't do it unless they really are convinced that they can win. And that is why more than 90% of these cases, these federal cases, end in a plea deal. More than 90%. Now, I'm not suggesting that I think Trump will try to do that. He may not want to do that because it might conflict with his brand, so to speak, because he's always talking about, well, I'm a fighter and I'm fighting for you and we're all in this together and whatnot. When you take a plea deal, that's an admission of guilt in a sense. Now, if he does take that option, which I don't think that he will, but he could, if he does take that option, takes the plea deal, his attorneys might try to convince him that it would be the smart thing to do. He will just spin it as, well, look, I had to. They're trying to put me in prison and I need to be president again and I need to do it for all of you. Again, you know, he's very good about doing the inclusion that, you know, we're all in this together. They're not just after me, they're after all of us. And I can't fight for you if I'm in prison, so I had to take that plea deal. I remember when Trump was pleading, when he started pleading the fifth in a deposition that what was on, I can't even, it's so much to keep track of. I don't even remember which case it was now. But there was a deposition for a civil case. I think it had to be that was on YouTube, and he pled the fifth a lot. Now, Trump famously had previously said anyone who pleads the fifth, obviously they're guilty. That was Trump's own words. If you plead the fifth, it means you have something to hide, is what he had said. Once he was in a position where he felt he had to plead the fifth and did so over and over again during that specific deposition, he just spun it as, look, now I understand. Now I understand what lengths the government will go to get me. Now I understand why, because the government is so unfair. Now I understand why people do it. I didn't realize it before until I was the one in the crosshairs. Now I get it. See, it's easy for him to do that. And, and the base that supports him will support him no matter what. So, he can tell them whatever he wants to tell them. Crystal says in the chat, fancy letters. Are they engraved on gold bars with diamonds embedded in for extra sparkle? So he pays attention to it? I doubt it. I mean, does Trump even read these target letters? His lawyers do, obviously, but so a little bit more here. Again, this is from CNN. A target letter from federal prosecutors to Trump made it clear that they are focused on his actions in this probe and not just of those around him. The move is a sign that he may soon be charged again. Trump slammed being a target in the probe today, and the former president said it, quote, almost always means, unquote, an indictment and arrest is coming next. If that sounds familiar, by the way, remember when he was arrested before, was it for the Georgia case? See, I'm having a hard time keeping track of it all. Anyway, before, when he thought he was being arrested, he announced it ahead of time. He said, I'm going to be arrested. Now, he announced it about a week before it actually happened. I remember he said, I'm going to be arrested on Tuesday, and then Tuesday came and went, and he didn't get arrested, but then I think the following week he was arrested. I mean, he went and surrendered. They didn't, it's not like the feds showed up at Mar-a-Lago and put him in cuffs. It says here, Trump has already been indicted twice this year in a New York hush money case and in Jack Smith's probe into Trump's mishandling of classified documents. In a hearing today, the judge overseeing the documents case told prosecutors that a mid-December trial date would be too soon. So that is the other big piece of legal news for Trump today. Judge Eileen Cannon, who's, been under a bit of a microscope because she got slapped down pretty hard for previously kind of putting the thumb on the scale for Trump. She is a Trump appointee, and the other judges on the circuit there, they reprimanded her for, I don't remember the specific details of what the ruling was now, but we might come back to that, or it might reference it here. But this just happened. This was updated 19 minutes ago, so this just happened. Because today was the first actual hearing in that case. Judge signals she is likely to push back trial in Trump classified documents case past mid-December. Judge Eileen Cannon signaled she is likely to push back the start of the trial beyond the mid-December date proposed by federal prosecutors, but appeared deeply skeptical of arguments from former President Donald Trump's lawyers that he can't get a fair trial while running for president. During a hearing in federal court in Fort Pierce, Florida, Cannon said a proposal from federal prosecutors that the trial of Trump and his aide, that's Walt Nauta, his co-defendant, be held in mid-December was a bit rushed. She told prosecutors that their timeline was compressed and said that cases like this take more time. Cannon did not decide on a trial date, but said she plans to promptly issue an order on the matter. The judge also pressed the Trump legal team to commit to a timeline for at least some of the steps in the pretrial process. The defense attorneys told Cannon they believed they would be able to review enough discovery by November to be able to suggest a potential trial date. Hello to Mike from Queen City Cabinetry, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. Queen City Cabinetry, one of our great sponsors here at WMNH. And of course, Mike, one of our co-hosts Friday nights on Retro Spectrum Radio. Now, just to remind everyone, of course, Trump's team, they're going to want to drag this out as long as they can, because the theory is, well, listen, in a perfect world for Trump, all of these various trials get pushed off and delayed. And if they get delayed long enough, the best case scenario for Trump, and this is probably a long shot, but it's not impossible, and it's not even implausible. If things get delayed and delayed and delayed long enough, and he can win election, or re-election, because he's not the incumbent, but he has already served one term. If he can get back into the White House, a lot of this goes away. He can pardon himself. He can tell the Department of Justice, drop these cases against me. Now, that won't work for everything. That won't work for the Georgia case, and that won't work for the for Alvin Bragg's case in New York. But it will work for the federal cases. He can pardon himself, in theory. Never been tested. There is some legal disagreement over that, whether a president has the power, the executive power, to pardon himself or not. But he can make these cases go away, these federal cases, and probably delay everything else until after his presidency. So that's his best case scenario. You know, keep delaying and delaying and delaying until he gets there. Now, again, you know, he will be the nominee. I'm certain of that, no matter what. But I do think it'll be very difficult for him to, unless Biden just really face plants, which could happen, which is not outside the realm of possibility. And we might talk about, there's also another pathway for Trump, which we'll probably talk about in the second hour, because we have not discussed, and we don't have a musical guest today. Tomorrow we have Wired for Sound on the show, which I'm really looking forward to. Been hearing a lot about that band. But in the second half of the show today, I do want to look at this organization, No Labels, which we've been hearing a lot about, independent, but funded by people with a lot of money. This is not a grassroots organization by any stretch, but they could play a spoiler, and they could siphon enough votes from Biden to throw the election to Trump. Trump could very well, and it'll be a close election no matter what. We don't have landslides anymore. We only have close elections when it comes to the presidency. If you think about it, Republicans vote for the Republican, Democrats vote for the Democrat. Elections are won based on independents and swing voters. So, you know, it'll be close. It is not outside the realm of possibility that that Trump could be elected in 2024, and you know, a lot of this goes away if that happens. So they're going to be trying to delay and delay and delay, and then there's also the arguments and the agonizing over, can you try a presidential candidate? Not can you legally. There's legal questions about, and apparently it is Department of Justice policy, you do not indict and try a sitting president, but can you try a candidate for the presidency? Because there's a lot of discussion and hand-wringing about, well, how close to an election is too close to have a trial? Now, my position personally, and I'm not just, regardless of what anyone wants to think or accuse me of, I'm not just saying this because it's Trump. I would say this about anybody. I do not believe that the criminal justice system at any level, in any instance, should be making decisions about whether or not to try somebody or when to try somebody based on their candidacy for elected office. I do not think that should factor into it. Just as I say in a broad sense, and to me it's not a platitude, as I know someone likes to tell me, I mean it when I say it, that no one is above the law. If you start making arguments about, well, you know, if someone's running for elected office and it's too close to the election, that it's not really fair to put them on trial for something. Well, if that's your argument, oh, well, you know, it's only 4 months to the election, so this person can't be tried. then you're putting them above the law. We live in a country where people argue all the time, or people complain all the time, correctly, in most cases, about politicians and how they're not honest and how very often they're corrupt and they get away with all manner of things. And yet, people will say that and then in the next breath say, well, I don't know if it's appropriate to try a particular candidate if they're running for a particular office. You should at least have the election first because, what if the trial somehow influences the election? I say, well, what if it does? So what? So what? If you are going to argue that you can't try someone who is a candidate for office because that might somehow influence the election, then you're putting your thumb on the scale in favor. The criminal justice system is putting its thumb on the scale in favor of that candidate and saying they are above the law. They're running for office. I mean, to me, it's absurd that you would do that. So I get very frustrated when I hear this stuff. Again, I'm not just talking about this. By the way, I'm not just talking about Trump. These arguments and these considerations go on at other levels of government. Candidates running for I'm trying to think of a specific example. I think it's probably happened at least once in Illinois because Illinois, they have a history of corrupt governors. Or, here's an example. Ken Paxton, I think now he's the former state attorney general in the state of Texas. He was under indictment while running for office, but they wouldn't go ahead and try him for anything because they said, well, in Texas, they said, we can't actually go forward with a trial while he's running for attorney general, which is ironic in and of itself. That's the office he's running for, the top law enforcement official in the state of Texas. We can't try him for that. He's a candidate. What if it influences the election? Well, again, what if it does? So what? We're supposed to show him, which is what happened. Or they, and I'm not in Texas, they in Texas, they felt they had to show him extra deference because he was a candidate. So we can indict him, but we can't actually try him. By the way, though, Ken Paxton is an example of how, yes, you can be under indictment and still win and office. There's no laws against that. It's fascinating. We have laws that say if you're a convicted felon, you can't vote. There is no law that says if you're a convicted felon, you can't hold public office. And Mike Doyle's on the line. Hello.
Hey, Matt.
Hey.
I was just waiting for some Chinese food here for my wife's birthday, and I was listening to you.
Oh, well, happy birthday to your wife.
I was saying to myself, humanitarian-wise, what do you think it is that makes people want to put a guy like Donald Trump in jail for 100 years? A guy who has a family, a guy who did a very narcissistic, there's a lot of bad to him, a lot of negative quality traits, I guess you would call them. But 3 years ago, as a president, had this country humming before the pandemic, right? I mean, just humming. Low gas, low inflation, low unemployment, Middle East peace, troops raises, on and on and on. The largest tax cut in history. You just keep going on and on. This country was humming. And he tried to do the best he could for the country. It doesn't matter that, people hate him so much that they think about it. They want to put him in jail for 100 years over a box of documents. Now I know you're going to say this is not whataboutism, but you got strewn boxes of top secret documents all over the Biden house, Biden office, Biden library, and he has no legal basis to have those.
Mike,
he was never a president.
Well,
he was vice president and a senator. Oh, go ahead. Did you want to say something?
Yeah. So something that right-wing media has taken and twisted is, and I think this is what you're referring to. I mean, yes, obviously a classified document in his garage is inappropriate and whatnot, but As a senator, he donated quite a few boxes. Trump brings it up all the time, something like thousands of documents that he donated to a library as a senator, which was perfectly legal and appropriate to do, and nothing top secret about it. But what right-wing media consistently does is they take that and they pretend it's something completely different, and then it just gets repeated and repeated and repeated.
Well, no, but that people do that. People, Obama did it. Clinton did. They all, when they have a library named after him, they all give them documents of things that aren't top secret. They didn't donate top secret documents to a library in University of Delaware.
Right.
They could send documents of him meeting certain people, stuff that isn't top secret.
Right.
He had top secret documents. He had a box in his garage, sitting on a garage floor.
Well, I don't think it was a box. I thought it was a document. But regardless, that's inappropriate.
No. It was.
But the reason
the picture, there's clearly they show the picture and they home in on it.
But I wanted to clarify. But I wanted to clarify what you were saying, Mike, because sorry if I misunderstood, but it sounded like you were going into that talking point that I keep hearing in right-wing media that is not correct. So I wanted to clarify that for the listeners. And if that's not what you were doing, it sounded like that's what you were trying to do. So I wanted to just clarify that. But if that's not what you were trying to do, I apologize.
Do you want to see after Joe Biden's not in office the same theory happen, that all of a sudden they say, well, he did have top secret documents, let's put him away for 100 years?
Mike, I would be all for it. Mike, if after Joe Biden leaves office, if he's caught with top secret documents that he's refusing to give back after being asked multiple times by the government, and he's caught with nuclear secrets, dude, I will be the first one to say, throw his ass in prison. Are you kidding me? I will be the first one to say it. Absolutely. 100%. 100%.
The left has gone too far. They want nothing to do with this man. They're going to ruin his life. They're going to put him in jail. He tried to do the best he could for this country. He did get caught up in things he shouldn't have said. January 6th was stupid. He really thought the election was stolen from him. Probably shouldn't have done things he did. All right. You know what I mean? But then you're going to have Donald Trump in jail for 100 years, which is basically his lifetime. You're going to have Joe Biden possibly in jail for... It's going to start a whole new precedent that after the fact.
Good. Accountability? Oh, it's going to start a whole new precedent? Good. That's good. I don't care who it is. I don't care what they do for the country. If they engage in criminal activity and they get caught after they've been president and they're old and they're going to be in prison, good. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care if it's Biden.
Well,
I don't care who it is.
But that's not true, because go back to the list. Clinton had tapes in his sock drawer that he didn't give over when Hillary Clinton had her subpoenaed her laptop. She destroyed it. There was a subpoena from Congress. That's illegal. You can't do that. Oh, nothing to see here. What she did was no big deal.
Well, I wonder why. So why, Mike, why is it that, so what happened then during the Trump administration? Because one of Trump's campaign promises was, I'm going to put her in prison. And he said it so often that he had people at all of his rallies chanting, lock her up, lock her up. And he even said it to her on the debate stage. When I'm president, you're going to be in prison. What happened? He had 4 years to get that done. What happened? And why? And what about her husband? Why isn't he in prison too? If you think he should be in prison, what happened?
These are all documented things. These are all. I don't know why you're arguing against it.
No,
these are all documented things.
Well,
Comey came out and said, "Well, what she did was wrong, but we don't think it rises to the level of." You're missing my
point. You're missing my point, Mike. One of Trump's campaign promises is, I'm going to put Hillary Clinton in jail. Then he had campaign rallies where everyone believed it. Hell, you might have been one of them. For all I know, you might have been in a campaign rally chanting with everybody, lock her up, lock her up. I don't know. You tell me. What happened?
I don't know. I don't know why you're asking me. I'm not in the inner circle of Donald Trump.
Well, it's just odd to me that you're so sure that she should be in prison, and yet your guy had 4 years to get it done, which he promised he would do. And as soon as he was in office, I didn't hear another word from him about locking her up. Did you? What happened?
Yeah, he was too busy. He was too busy running the country and
Oh,
getting
okay.
it running on a lowest unemployment across the board.
Well, Mike, you know what? When he
cleaned
gets
up the Veterans Association.
Yeah.
I mean, he did a lot for this country.
well, Mike,
Now, I don't know.
and maybe he'll do more. You know what? Maybe when he gets back in, if he gets back in, maybe he'll go back and get an attorney general who will charge Hillary with something and put her in prison. You know,
Yeah.
maybe. It's just odd to me that,
Well,
you
it's
know,
hard.
it's just
kind of
weird.
hard now. She destroyed the evidence. So they had evidence, but she destroyed it.
Well-
So it's kind of hard to go back and say, hey, we're going to put you, but we have no evidence because you destroyed it. So,
Okay. Well,
I don't know. I just
He'll find a way.
This country, we're going down a rat hole of trying to crush everybody who's supposed to be the leaders of this country and help this country and help people. And there's this attack to just take them down. 2 years of Russian collusion, right? You guys fed into it. You couldn't stop. You couldn't get enough.
You always
IG
do that.
Report. Nope, that was wrong.
You always do that.
Pardon?
You guys. I don't know why you do that. After all this time, you still do that. You guys fed into it. I said
you
right
didn't
from the
talk-
beginning.
You didn't talk about Russian collusion at all on your show?
Of course I did. And I said right from the beginning.
Yeah.
I said right from the beginning that I didn't think Trump himself was personally colluding. I said that right from the beginning. We've had this conversation at least somewhere between 15 to 20 times where I've reminded you that I said that from. Oh, yes, we have, Mike. Believe it's been a long time since we've had that conversation. But I've reminded you. Maybe more like 10 or 12 times, but I've reminded you many times that I said that right from the beginning, but then you do the you guys thing, which is fine.
All right, all right, I'm going to officially apologize for that.
I mean, of course, I talked about it. It was in the news.
Yeah, except my right, and it was wrong. It was 2 years of Adam Schiff standing in front of the camera saying, "I have physical evidence that will take this guy down," and went to impeachment. And didn't bring up any evidence, had nothing, but he told the American people. Is that right? Is that?
I
we
think
know that. These are facts.
Yeah, I think the Democrats really misplayed that. I do.
Yeah,
and I've said that.
Come on,
I've said that. There was.
I know.
There
and
was
then over a phone call with 15 other people listening in on the call.
Yeah, I didn't like that call.
We're going to impeach him over that.
Well, again, they weren't. It's not like they were ever going to get a conviction. Not with a Republican-controlled House.
I know they weren't going to get it by the Senate, but
I didn't like the.
They still want to make it look bad.
I didn't like the call.
I'm just saying. I wish people would step back and look at the overall and say, all of these things they keep throwing at them and nothing sticks. And can one person do this much wrong that was president of the country and tried to do the best for this country? And don't take away, he's not a narcissist. He's not a I'm the best thing that ever lived since sliced bread. He's cocky. He's narcissistic. I know all of that. I just know I try to separate that from what he did for this country. Is all I'm saying. We were rolling pre-pandemic. I know people forget that gas was under $2 a gallon. You know, milk was $1.99 a gallon, and things like that. The inflation rate was 1.5%. This country was rolling. You even said it. You said, if not for the pandemic, he was probably going to get reelected.
Oh, yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah. And so now we've come this far. He's got a chance to go up again for president, try to do it again. And now we're going to cut his knees off whatever way we can. And it's just ugly politics is all. That's just what I feel. I know it's just ugly politics.
Yeah. Well, I completely disagree on that part, as you know, but,
yeah.
That's all right.
Well, I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in.
All right, Mike. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Talk to you later.
All right. And please tell your wife I said happy birthday.
Oh, thanks.
All right, Mike. Take care. All right. That was Mike Doyle. And we're going to take a break in a minute, I think. I do want to just finish up on this because I don't think we finished up on the part about. Actually, I should refresh that. Now, you know what? Actually, let's take a break now because it is the top of the hour. We're going to show some love to our amazing sponsors, and then we'll play a little song, and then we'll come back with the second half of the show because there might be. Usually, I like to move on to a different subject in the second hour, but there might be more breaking news coming as we learn more about, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. There might be something else about this we need to talk about. So let's do this. We're going to take a break, and then hour number 2 is coming up. Don't go away. There is plenty more unleashed. Come on down to the Hop Knot at 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few bottles of wine. We do the traditional pretzel, and we have multiple flavors for that. We also do stuffed pretzels, pretzel sandwiches, free dessert pretzels, and pretzel knots.
The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza at 1000 Elm Street.
Bring your kitchen to life with Queen City Cabinetry, located at 87 Elm Street in the historic Sunbeam Mall in Manchester. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They can be reached at 603-222-2007 or on the web at queencitycabinetrynh.com. Come see the possibilities. Queen City Cabinetry, another proud sponsor of WMNH.
Clemento's Pizzeria, family friendly, awesome for a date night. Clemento's Pizzeria. For delivery, call 603-782-8450. Clemento's Pizzeria, the best pizza in town. 1875 South Willow Street in Manchester, New Hampshire. Best cocktails around. Come in as friends and leave as family.
This hour on WMNH is sponsored by CGI Business Solutions, located at 5 Dartmouth Drive in Auburn. They serve all your business needs, including employee benefits planning, corporate design and business administration, investments and wealth management, and customized business insurance solutions. Their phone number is 866-841-4600 or on the web at cgibusinesssolutions.com.
WMNH, rip the knob off.
It was the next day she get to me. All I want Monday
Welcome back, everybody, as we enter hour number 2, numero dos, of Matt Connerton Unleashed, and we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. And hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. You can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. It is Tuesday, July 18, 2023. By the way, the song we just heard was Mixtape from the band Satellite Union. My friend Dave Wally joined us via Skype on Friday from the great city of Chicago, talking all about his band. And we kind of caught up a little bit too, because Dave and I went to high school together. So it's really been cool to reconnect with him and to hear what he's doing. Such great, that might be my favorite song of Satellite Union. I love that track. It's so catchy, and I think it's got a certain time. It's funny. It's like the song itself, I think, has got a certain timelessness to it, in that it could work in any era. I think I said this to him too during our interview, that any era that came out in, it would kind of fit. And yet the mixtape itself is specific to a certain time, because there's no such thing as a mixtape. I guess in theory there could be. They still make cassettes. They still make cassette players. You could make a mixtape in 2023, but why would you? But the mixtape itself is something that's of a specific time period. But the song, I think, is timeless, as is their sound, the sound of that band. And so that was really cool getting to talk to Dave on Friday. But that's, like I said, that's probably my favorite song of theirs. So I figured I'd give that a spin today. You'll be hearing that and some of the others from Satellite Union now and then on the show. Speaking of musical guests, tomorrow on the show we have the band Wired for Sound, and I think they're joining us in studio, if I remember correctly. So that will be tomorrow in the second half of the program. Today on the show, if you'd like to join us, the studio line is open, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. I'm on social media at Matt Connerton. You can email me, matt@mattconnerton.com. And of course, you can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat. But the best thing to do so that you can hear and enjoy our dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. Sure enough, yes, there is additional news regarding the subject that we were discussing in the first hour, the ever-growing list of legal challenges and woes for former President Donald John Trump, the 45th President of the United States. He revealed today, if you're just joining us or if you haven't caught any of the news, he did reveal today that he received a target letter, apparently on Sunday. That a target letter meaning, yes, we are in fact investigating you regarding what we in shorthand refer to as the January 6th investigation, but it's really more about the effort to overturn the 2020 election. And there's other aspects of that we haven't even gotten into yet that we're going to touch on in a moment regarding the fake electors plot, having these different states present electors who would go for Trump instead of Biden, even though Biden carried their states. And it's all very insidious. And there's also a growing suspicion that Rudy Giuliani has flipped on Trump. He did that proffer session with the DOJ where basically you get to go in and be sort of immune to whatever you, regarding whatever you reveal for usually on that one day, whatever you tell them, if it's pertinent to the case, you're not going to be held accountable yourself, sort of a temporary immunity. Again, a lot of this I'm learning about for the first time myself. So I'm not a legal expert of any kind. Abigail Jem joins us in the Facebook live chat. Haven't seen her in there in a while. Hello. She says, when I hear the phrase target letter, I picture a letter with the Target logo at the top of it. Yes. Or a flyer, perhaps, in your Sunday paper advertising the sales at Target. Let's see. Well, obviously, we did hear from Mike Doyle right before the break, and that a lot of comments in the Facebook live chat. We'll take a look at those too and get input from everybody. The point, I just want to clarify something though. The point that I was trying to make to Mike was if and I would say this, but it's not directed at him. It's directed at anybody who insists on, and it is whataboutism, in my opinion. You know, when you're talking about holding Trump accountable, and the response is, now to Mike's credit, he didn't bring up Hunter Biden. That's usually what people will do in that case. But you know, when he started talking about Hillary and talking about Bill Clinton and all this, and you know, again, I would just say, if you're so sure that they should be in jail, well, why didn't Trump get that done during his 4 years? Why did Bill Barr and before him Jeff Sessions tell him, well, you know, there's really nothing we can charge these people with if you're so sure that they could be in prison? Because that is something Trump promised, is it not? And I guess you can say, oh, well, he was too busy running the country. Well, then why did he promise that? Why did he promise that he was going to lock her up? That literally was the chant. You could go to any Trump rally and everybody would chant. There were two things: build that wall and lock her up, and everyone would chant that. Okay, so what happened? He's just too busy. I mean, that was one of his key campaign promises, right? But anyway, that was the point that I was trying to make about that. Alex Whiteley said in the chat room, well, I want to look at the comments and then we'll get to some more news regarding all the legal news of it's been a big legal in the world of MAGA. It's been a big day in terms of legal stuff, legal news today. So we'll pivot back to that in a moment. But Alex Whiteley said in the chat room, have you ever met a politician that is actually out there to do good? I have, and it's so disarming. They are rare, but they do exist. I actually think, Alex, I think most people who get into politics, I think they do want to do good. Because when you first get into politics, you start out locally, usually, right? Unless for some reason you have a lot of money behind you and you can shoot for higher office. But most people start out locally in their city or town. And I think they do want to do good because it's kind of a thankless job at that level, right? And what you have to go through to run and win. But I think that what happens is, you know, we have a system where, so for example, if you want to talk about, and this is true anywhere, of course, this is true where you are, Alex, but just to use an example here in America, if, say it's federal office, say you are elected to become a senator, it becomes, at a certain point, it becomes much more about not just once you're in power, how do you keep that power? And it's no secret that, for example, United States senators, I've heard many of them even acknowledge this over the years, that sometimes half or more than half of their time is spent fundraising. In other words, you get elected and then all of your time in office ultimately is about getting reelected, doing things that are going to get you, if you're a senator, that are going to get you another term at the end of that 6 years. You spend that 6 years trying to make sure that you get another 6 years. Or if you're a congressman, you spend that 2 years trying to make sure you get another 2 years. Or if you're a governor, you spend that 4 years trying to make sure you get another 4 years. Or here in New Hampshire, it's only 2 years. I think New Hampshire and Vermont, I think we're the only states in the country that still have 2-year gubernatorial terms, but everywhere else it's 4. You know, or if you're president and you're in your first term, you spend that 4 years trying to make sure you get another 4. I think that's what happens. I think, and I don't even know quite what to do about it. People say, well, get the money out of politics. But I think the real problem is human nature. You know, I almost hate to say it because it's such a tired and somewhat worn out cliche, but I think it holds up only because it happens to be so horribly true that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And people get power and then it becomes about keeping that power. So I do think when people start out as politicians, they do want to do good. I think probably, in other words, as somebody running for, say, you know, city council in Berwick, Maine or something, I don't think they're doing it because they're thinking, ooh, that's going to be, I really want that power. You know, I don't think at that level, that's why you do it. But I think it becomes that as you ascend the political ladder, it becomes more and more about that. And I think that's what happens. And by the way, I think that there are people who do ascend the ladder who continue to want to do good on some level to some degree, but that will ultimately have to become second priority to the first priority, which is to remain in power. And I would imagine too, the psychology of it is interesting to me. I would imagine that there comes a point where professional politicians, as they're trying to remain in power, they probably convince themselves that the ends justify the means in some points where, you know, especially if they're doing things that maybe aren't quite on the up and up in terms of fundraising and campaign finance. I mean, we have campaign finance laws, but a lot of them aren't really worth a damn because it's easy to work around them. I would imagine that there's a point that a lot of politicians get to where the ends justify the means, and they'll do things that maybe are outside the bounds of what might be considered ethical or that most people would approve of, or might even be within the law, but not necessarily within ethical bounds by the average person's standards. But they get to a point where they say, well, I have to do this to remain in power, because if I don't remain in power, somebody else is going to be in this seat and they're going to do bad things. I want to remain in power to do good things. And it becomes a cycle. It's like, well, I have to remain in power so I can continue to do good. But remaining in power has to be the first priority, because if I only worry about doing good, but I don't worry about remaining in power, then the good that I get to do will end at the end of this term, because I'm going to lose the election if I don't focus on remaining in power. And again, I don't know what to do about that. Like I said, people say get money out of politics. I don't think the money itself is the problem. I think human nature is the problem. I almost hate saying that because it sounds so horribly cynical, but I do think that is the truth. And Mike is calling us back. Hey, Mike.
Hey, so just on the subject you were just talking about real quick.
Yeah.
You know how you prove what you were saying is correct? Is look at the votes in Congress and in the Senate where a vote comes up for something to do with the common man, and you got every senator voting one way and every senator on the other side voting the other way, or every congressman voting one side and just about every congressman voting the other. That tells you that the system is broken. Do you know what I mean? There's not one Democrat senator who thinks, maybe that what they're doing is best for my state. I'm going to vote. But that's just not how it works in politics. It's pretty much party line voting.
Most of the time, yeah.
I think that's to stay in line and stay with the good people on that side so they can get reelected.
Yeah, well, I do loathe our two-party system. Absolutely loathe it.
Yeah, and I always said there should be 3 presidents, not one. An expert in foreign policy, an expert in United States policy, and an expert in health or something.
Sure.
And for every decision they want to sign an executive order, 2 out of 3 have to okay it.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea.
The job for one man is just too much. It's just, as we're seeing now, especially somebody elderly. It's a tough sled for a guy like Biden, who's old, showed signs of age. I'm not going to say cognitive or anything.
Yeah.
But he's definitely showing signs of age.
Oh yeah.
And we all know, you go to the picnic and you see your Uncle Joe who's 80 and he's sitting in a chair, and you go over and talk to him. He's in and out a little bit. There's some,
right.
There's some, you know what I mean? What did you say? What?
Right.
So to have a guy president at 80 or 84 is another thing. But anyways, our system is so broken. It sucks. And you know who gets hurt? The common person.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
We're the ones that don't get. You know what I mean? I'm not saying this personal, but somebody like our guy, our representative, the guy from the back room. I can't think of his name right now. I apologize.
Oh, Chris Pappas.
Chris Pappas.
Yeah.
He's there to represent New Hampshire,
mm-hmm.
and his vote was, people are saying, somewhere in the high 90s of voting whatever Nancy Pelosi put up and said, I want you to vote for. Does Nancy Pelosi have New Hampshire's best interest in mind? Probably not. Her only district is San Francisco. That's her one district. You think about that, and she's the 3rd most powerful person in the world 2 years ago, and she can't even get San Francisco straightened out. So I
Wow.
don't know. We need a new system somehow. I don't know what it is. No party, 3-party, something. But let's figure it out and do what's best for everybody.
Right. No.
Anyways,
Sound-
that's just wishful thinking.
I know. Yeah. It's hard to change the system.
All right.
That's for sure.
Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks for the call, Mike. All right. Very good. That was our friend Mike Doyle. And that does open up the line for you. 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. Abigail Jem says in the chat room, I was thinking the same thing. She says one person, not one man. No, I agree, Abigail. I suspect, though, and I don't think Mike meant, just in Mike's defense, so I don't think he meant anything sexist. I think it's just that I think it's probably habit because we've only had male presidents so far. So I don't think he meant anything by that. I had the same thought, but I'm probably guilty of doing that myself at one point or another, just because we've only had men so far. So it becomes sort of subconsciously ingrained. But we have a call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connerton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hey, was that Mike calling?
Oh, it's Louie. Yes, that was Mike Doyle on the line.
That Mike from the J6 committee? Anyway, he made a very good point. His expertise lies in horses, but he made a good point. It is a job that's too much for one man. What we need is one woman.
There you go.
We need a woman to run this country.
Well, we almost had one, but that didn't quite pan out.
No, but when we have a woman in charge,
Mm-hmm.
when men can step back a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
that's when we'll have real leadership, real empathy, real understanding, universal health care. We got to realize life is so short.
Yes.
And we just can't have this life for the people with a high Dun & Bradstreet rating. Everyone counts. Everyone.
Agreed. Very well said, Louis. Yes, I'm with you.
So instead of the haves and the have-nots, right now we have the haves and haven't got a shot. We got to level the playing field.
Mm-hmm.
And the only gender capable of doing that is a woman.
Now, why do you say that? Do you think women are more? Do you think women are more pragmatic? Do you think women are just generally
Men? Pragmatic has nothing to do with it. I like the word, but pragmatic has to do a lot with logic. Women are not born with the chemical imbalance of testosterone. I like the word pragmatic, but
Yeah.
Women can think outside the box. A woman does 12 things. A man is trying out how to figure out 2. They're very good for taking out the trash. They're very good for fixing a flat tire. But men are the inferior gender. It is time for a female, just like it's time for a female to run the state of New Hampshire. Joyce Craig is the perfect person to be governor of New Hampshire.
Well, we have had a female governor before. Maggie Hassan was governor.
Well, we had Jean Shaheen. I don't need to
And
go
Jean
through
Shaheen,
the list.
yeah.
But we need now, in these times, someone that can see the whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need people saying they're going to sign legislation for cannabis, and then when it comes across his desk, we need to open, Maine, Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New York, Alaska, California. Is everyone wrong and New Hampshire's right? No pun intended.
I've always thought it's strange that our motto is live free or die, and yet we can't seem to legalize cannabis here.
They don't want to legalize cannabis because they're afraid they're cash cow selling booze on the highway and then saying don't drink and drive. What they don't realize, when you're having a little Hennessy, you can take a puff.
Right. Jenny points out in the chat room too, they advertise here, like in Massachusetts, they'll actually advertise, dispensaries and so forth here. Although we have dispensaries you can get medical cannabis, but Massachusetts actually advertise, because there it's fully legal, cannabis products here.
It's been legal in California since 1996 for medical reasons. That's 27 years for an old guy like me that can even add.
Yeah.
What is New Hampshire New Hampshire should change the name of the state to New Hampshire, and they should have a strain called New Hampshire's Finest. It's time to legalize weed. No one died smoking a bone. All these people dying of fentanyl.
That is true. No one's ever died from cannabis. That is true, Louis. I agree.
Well, there was a guy named Dylan that sang a song, "Everyone Must Get Stoned." It isn't the end of the world.
Yeah, I mean, I oppose the drug war in a broad sense anyway, but it's pretty remarkable. We live in a country where we've got, I don't know how many millions of people are in prison for low-level drug offenses. Meanwhile, we have all these states that have fully legalized it. I don't know why we're not letting people out of prison.
Cannabis is not a drug. It's a plant. It's a flower. It's a medicine.
Yeah, that's how I see it. I mean, I don't use it personally. It doesn't go well for me when I have tried it. So, but absolutely, many people do use it for medicine, and it's certainly not something. Even if I think if you poll people, even if you poll people who don't necessarily agree with using it or approve of it, if you ask them, well, do you think we should be throwing people in prison for it? They'll tell you no, we should not.
Anyone that hasn't used it hasn't tried it.
Well, I think that's probably literally true, yes.
Sativa, indica, all the different strains, gummies to help people with medical problems, to go to sleep, that have anxiety, depression, PTSD. What is New Hampshire waiting for?
We should clarify, though, it is legal here for medical use, and it is decriminalized. We just can't seem to get to full legalization here, even though we're surrounded by states and Canada where it is, in fact, fully legal.
God bless America. Joyce Craig for governor of the state of New Hampshire. And the only way that this country can have some semblance of order is to elect a woman president of the United States of America.
I like it. Louis.
All right. Have a nice afternoon. And the show is great as always. And Mike, his input is always fantastic.
Oh,
but once again, tomorrow they'll be racing at Saratoga, and that's where his expertise lies.
All right. Very good. All right, Louis. Thank you for the call. All right. We haven't heard from Louis Angelides, I think is how you say his name now. We haven't heard from him in a long time. So that was a cool surprise. 603-250-6007 is the number if you'd like to join us. 603-250-6007. That was quite a dose of feminism there. I do think, by the way, his point though about testosterone, I have wondered about that myself. If because, well, just as an example, so you don't hear about nearly as many road rage incidents with women as you do with men. Why is it so much more prevalent with men? Because we have testosterone. We lose our tempers. I mean, not me. I'm not a road rage guy, but I'm just saying broadly, a lot of people say there'd be less war if women ran the world instead of men, because as men we're driven by testosterone and ego, I think generally much more than women. So, Melanie says, I disagree. That was feminism. Well, I don't want to get into a whole, I mean, I thought it was, I don't know. There's different, like anything, there's different, ideologically, there's different kinds of feminism. I mean, you can go on YouTube and find podcasts of people arguing over what feminism is or isn't. But you know more about feminism than I do because you're an actual female. So I defer to you. But I did think what Louis said was quite enlightened. I'll put it that way. Let's see. Some more there. Like I said, there were a lot of comments in the chat room while Mike Doyle was on the line the first time. Melanie says, but Matt, Democrats read documents in the bathroom all the time. That's all Trump was doing with those bathroom files. Ardell5 joins us in the chat room and says, we say that we are a pop singing group quartet and we are from Greensboro, North Carolina. Melanie says in all caps, butter emails, Matt. Ardell5 says, Trump to Trump. What's he up to of the ex-President Trump? I'm not sure I quite understand the question, Ardell5, but I appreciate the input. Jenny says, even if everything he is saying is true regarding Mike's defense of Trump, what does that have to do with Trump having military movement maps, nuclear information, all of it? He even said so on tape. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, even if the guy walked on water, that doesn't excuse trying to illegally overturn an election, taking secret documents, refusing to give them back, which is obstruction of justice and so forth. You can do a lot of good things and still be a criminal, to be very blunt about it. And I don't think that just because you did some things that some people like, that excuses criminality, or that we should just ignore it, or just say, well, what about this other person who did something bad? See, the problem with whataboutism is that if you take whataboutism and you follow it through. By the way, I can't think of another example of where someone has taken documents of nuclear secrets and then refused to give them back, and actually had an attorney sign an affidavit saying, oh, we gave everything back when we actually didn't, and all that. I can't think of anything on the scale of what Trump is accused of, allegedly. He is entitled to the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. But I can't think of anything on that scale, ever, first of all. But the problem with whataboutism is if you follow it through to its natural, logical conclusion, the conclusion that you must arrive at, if you do follow it all the way through, is that actually no one can ever be held accountable for anything. If you're really going to follow it all the way through logically, because apparently you can't hold anybody you don't like accountable. You have no right to hold someone you don't like accountable for something, because someone you do like, they might have also done something bad. The example that I like to use is, imagine you're sitting on a jury in a murder trial, and it looks pretty bad for the defendant, but you're one of the jurors, and during the closing arguments, the defense attorney gets up and says, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I realize it looks really bad for my client. And you're probably convinced that my client committed this murder. But let me ask you this. What about all the other people who committed murder? I don't see you sitting in judgment of them. And one of those people might be someone you like. Oh, but you're sitting here in judgment of my client? I mean, come on. You can't just, it doesn't work that way. Accountability doesn't work that way. So, we either hold people accountable, and I'm sorry if some slip through and you're not happy about it. But even if that argument is true and that someone is being selectively targeted or prosecuted, even if it's true that there's more than one standard of justice, and you feel that an unfair standard of justice is being applied to a particular individual, I can't imagine why anyone would believe that means that you should just have no standard. Just have no standard then. Just let it be a free-for-all, and anybody can do whatever they want to and engage in whatever criminal activity they want to. And as long as somebody thinks they did a good job, then you just have to give them a pass on everything. I mean, it's, and of course it's purely partisan. And I meant what I said, if that were Joe Biden or anybody else, yeah, you hold them to the same standard. Absolutely. I don't want anyone stealing nuclear secrets. I don't want anyone scheming to overturn an election, trying to take my vote away. I don't want anyone sitting in a dining room off of the Oval Office watching on television while our Capitol is being overrun, and just sitting there watching it on television for a couple of hours because the people overrunning the Capitol are people who like the person sitting there in the dining room next to the Oval Office having a sandwich or whatever. I don't want anybody doing that. Regardless of how I feel about them. And anyone who does do that, they should be held accountable, in my opinion. Scott Robinson says, maybe he'll finally get Mexico to write that check regarding if Trump does get back in. Jenny says, Mike has a chronic case of whataboutism. Melanie says, I bet he would have had time to follow up if he shut Fox News off. Well, Mike says he watches CNN as well. Melanie says, it's just so fascinating that he allows no space for what if the charges are appropriate? What if he actually did these things? Well, I think he was making the argument that it doesn't matter because he thinks Trump did a good job for the country. I think at least that's what it sounded like was his argument. I don't want to speak for him, but that was my perception of his argument. It doesn't matter what if Trump did anything wrong because he feels that he did a good job for the country. So therefore it's not fair to hold him accountable for any of these things, whether he did them or not. That's what I got from that, at least. Crystal says, our friend from Illinois, this is regarding James Comey, because Mike did bring up James Comey. Crystal says, Comey should be in jail for theft of government property that he gave to his college pal. The information in Comey's belonged to the government. Doesn't matter if it was Comey's notebook. Confidential information is still confidential regardless of what it is written on. I'd forgotten about that, actually. Yeah, when Comey leaked, I don't remember all the details of that exactly, but Comey leaked something that to his, somebody from college. And it was very strange. I don't remember exactly what all the details of that were, but I remember being troubled by it. Like, no, that doesn't sound right to me. Ardell5 says, we are going to be an opening act for fun. Is Porsche E-Play a pop singing girl group? Oh, we're going to have people support us. Hashtag Matt Connerton. Well, very good. Very good. All right. So we do have a little bit more on today's events. If you're just joining us, we've been talking about Trump's, the legal developments in Trump world today. Oh, hello to Chris from the band Edgewise, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. Hello, sir. Probably there's something else I wanted to get to, but we'll probably have to save that for tomorrow. They left the hearing concluded that Judge Eileen Cannon was presiding over. So I wanted to look at that, but there was also something about the fake electors plot scheme, which is part of the Jan 6 probe, which is, again, really about trying to overturn the election. Let's see. Okay. Trump's lawyers decline to answer questions after hearing in classified documents case. So this we were talking about earlier, too. This is the other bit of news today. Judge Eileen Cannon, they had a hearing about potentially when the trial will actually begin. It says here, Donald Trump's lawyers declined to answer questions about the target letter from special counsel Jack Smith and about today's hearing in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case while leaving a courtroom in Florida. The hearing in federal court in Fort Pierce lasted less than 2 hours. Neither Trump nor special counsel Jack Smith attended the hearing, but the former president's aide and co-defendant Walt Nauta was there. Nauta appeared attentive and spoke only once in open court, saying, quote, "Good afternoon, Your Honor," at the start of the hearing. Nauta's attorneys also declined to comment as they were leaving the courthouse. Now, the other thing, though, okay, this just happened while we were on the air. Michigan Attorney General charges 16 participants in the 2020 fake elector plot. Now, this was going on in multiple states, by the way, where they had fake electors who were going to present themselves, who were trying to present themselves, and even signed actual documents claiming to be the official legal electors. And they were supposed to, when the Electoral College would meet, they were going to say, our state, we as electors representing our state, we go for Trump, even though that state had gone for Biden. Michigan being one of the states where this was going on. So this is a very important part of this whole attempt to overturn the 2020 election. 16 fake electors who signed certificates falsely claiming President Donald Trump won Michigan in 2020 election have been charged with crimes, State Attorney General Dana Nessel announced today. So again, this happened while we were on the air, this announcement. The charged individuals are Kathy Burden, a Republican National Committee woman from Michigan, William Choate, Amy Facinello, Clifford Frost, Stanley Grott. Those are a whole bunch of names here. It doesn't matter. I don't know who any of these people are. All 16 individuals were charged with multiple felonies, quote, for their role in the alleged false electors scheme following the 2020 U.S. presidential election, unquote, Nessel's office announced. The counts include 1 count of conspiracy to commit forgery, 2 counts of forgery, 1 count of conspiracy to commit uttering and publishing, and 1 count of uttering and publishing, all of which carry a maximum of 14 years in prison, as well as 1 count of conspiracy to commit election law forgery and 2 counts of election law forgery, which carry a maximum of 5 years in prison. Okay, the statement from Nessel said this, quote, the false electors' actions undermined the public's faith in the integrity of our elections and, we believe, also plainly violated the laws by which we administer our elections in Michigan. My department has prosecuted numerous cases of election law violations throughout my tenure, and it would be malfeasance of the greatest magnitude if my department failed to act here in the face of overwhelming evidence of an organized effort to circumvent the lawfully cast ballots of millions of Michigan voters in a presidential election. That was from her statement. Michigan was one of the 7 battleground states where the Trump campaign put forward slates of fake electors as part of their plan to undermine the Electoral College process and potentially disrupt Congress's certification of the 2020 election results on January 6, 2021. Yeah, because part of how I think this would work too is if they could have gotten Vice President Mike Pence to say, I reject these electors from this state, and we're going to send. I'm not going to accept this certificate from this state because I reject these electors. Then that gets sent back to the state, and then the state presents these new electors who are representing Trump. And then that's, that was one of the ideas, apparently, one of the schemes that they were going to try to use. And then if they could do that in enough states, that would tip the election to Trump. There's a little more to this. The 16 fake GOP electors from Michigan met in Lansing on December 14, 2020, and signed certificates falsely proclaiming that Trump won the state and they were the rightful electors. They were rebuffed by police when they tried to enter the State House to deliver the papers, according to videos of the interaction, which took place while the real group of Democratic electors were meeting inside the building. President Joe Biden defeated Trump by a little more than 154,000 votes in the 2020 election in Michigan. In the view of the Trump campaign, these were, quote, alternate electors who could have somehow replaced Biden's electors when Congress counted the electoral votes on January 6, 2021, handing Trump a second term. Again, I've been very critical of Mike Pence, but thank God he didn't. I mean, can you imagine if he had gone for this? Because he could have, right? He could have said, oh, no, I'm rejecting these electors and we're going to go with these other electors instead. I mean, it would have been disastrous. The Supreme Court would have had to get involved. And I mean, God only knows how this would have ended up. It says here, however, a wide array of legal experts, including many inside the Trump White House and Trump campaign, thought this plan was unconstitutional and possibly illegal. You think? Why? What would be illegal about it? Just because there's all this fraud? signing fraudulent documents and making claims that are, fraudulent. Crystal says in the chat room, all those involved in deliberately putting false electors in place to overturn an election should be charged with insurrection, treason, etc. Oh, I agree. I want these people in prison. Nessel, a Democrat, initially referred the matter to federal prosecutors at the Justice Department, but she reopened the state probe in January. Justice Department Special Counsel Jack Smith is also actively investigating the fake electors plot, and some fake electors have testified to his grand jury. Nessel said, quote, "There will be those who claim these charges are political in nature, but when there is overwhelming evidence of guilt in respect to multiple crimes, the most political act I could engage in as a prosecutor would be to take no action at all," unquote. The House January 6th committee uncovered evidence that Trump knew about the plan and that he spoke directly about it with RNC chairwoman Ronna McDaniel. By the way, Ronna McDaniel, who apparently still does not acknowledge that that Joe Biden rightfully won the 2020 election. I don't know if she hangs out with the MyPillow guy who told her something. I don't know, but and Ronna McDaniel is from Michigan. She testified that Trump and his allies told her the electors plan was important and that the RNC later helped the Trump campaign assemble the slates of GOP electors. In the video released alongside the charges, Nessel once again shot back against allegations that the 2020 presidential election was fraudulent, saying that the election in her state, quote, was procedurally the same as in every previous modern presidential election. Despite this, the groundwork was laid for a plan to send alternative slates of Trump electors to Congress in an attempt to outmaneuver and circumvent the long-standing electoral process, unquote, Nessel said. The 16 electors, all from Michigan, gathered with the, quote, hope and belief that the electoral votes of Michigan's 2020 election would be awarded to the candidate of their choosing instead of the candidate that Michigan voters actually chose. These defendants may have believed the now long debunked myth of vote tampering or ballot dumps. They may have felt compelled to follow the call to action from a president they held fealty to. They may have even genuinely believed that this was their patriotic duty, but none of those reasons or feelings provide legal justification to violate the law and upend our Constitution and our nation's traditions of representative government, self-determination, and a government by the people, unquote. Nessel also said that her office will continue to investigate efforts to overturn the 2020 election and, quote, has not ruled out potential charges against additional defendants, unquote. So again, but we should be very clear about this. This was not only in Michigan. This was going on in multiple states. This was a widespread plan. And there is a question about, did Trump know? Apparently it's believed that he knew about this. And I assume that that weighs heavily in the investigation and why he received that target letter. Melanie says in the chat room, so disappointing that people convinced themselves they were acting on the side of righteousness by doing illegal acts. And Crystal says, wouldn't double the number of electors showing up to validate vote trigger red flags from the get-go for officials to investigate further? What a stupid plan. Yeah, I mean, the plan itself is pretty far out there, right? But if they had convinced Pence to go along with it, because it is interesting to kind of think it through what could have happened, right? So if they had convinced Pence to start rejecting the valid electors and saying that he would, it probably wouldn't be as simple as just him saying, okay, I'm rejecting this slate of electors from this state. I have reason to believe that state's election wasn't valid, or however he would have to do that. I don't think he could then say, but I will accept this other slate of electors. That probably wouldn't work. And I think you're right, Crystal. That would probably derail pretty quickly. But a theory about how this could have worked had Mike Pence not done the right thing. And I've been critical of him, but I do give him credit for doing the right thing that day. Thank goodness. There's different weird theories about how this could have proceeded. I mean, one of the dumb conspiracy theories is that the vice president is handed 2 envelopes and he gets to pick which envelope he wants and effectively appoint the next president. But that's crazy. But that's like a QAnon thing with the envelopes. But one theory goes that what Pence could have done is he could have rejected electors from however many states it would have taken. And it would have been, of course, the same states that had the fake electors, right? Because those are the swing states that Trump lost. And then thus creating a constitutional crisis because Pence would be refusing to certify the election. And then the Supreme Court would have to get involved, or it would go to the House of Representatives. Because I know that if neither candidate in the election gets to 270 electoral votes, then it goes to the House and they get to vote. So if you have a Republican-controlled House, they would have just voted for Trump, and then Trump would have won a second term because Pence could have rejected electors from enough states so that neither Biden nor Trump would be at 270. If I have this right. And that would send it to the House. And then the House would have to vote. I believe that's how that works. If neither candidate gets to 270. I mean, we've never seen this happen. But, so that's another possibility. That would be another way that Trump could have held on to the White House. Crystal says, what happened to the original electors? These fake electors replaced. Wouldn't they be making a loud scene? Yes. Oh, obviously, yes. Yeah, it would have been quite a mess. It would have been very messy. But the scary thing is, as messy as it would have been, doesn't mean it wouldn't have worked. That's scary. All right, we got to go. We are just about out of time. Thank you all for joining us today, and everybody who called, everybody in the chat room, and Melanie said in the chat room, I truly wish that when you read some of my comments, someone in their car is yelling at their radio for me to go blank myself. That would make me giggle. Maybe someday. Well, we keep the windows closed for the air conditioning, but maybe someday we'll hear someone driving by the station and yelling that. That would be funny. All right, we got to go. Don't forget, tomorrow on the show, we have a great musical guest for us in the second hour. Wired for Sound will be here. And if you missed any part of today's show, it'll be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org and at my website, mattconnerton.com. And we'll close with a little bit of Eons Encoded. I haven't played this song in a while. Let's see. Oh, and it is Tuesday, which means if you are listening live on Tuesday, coming up next is Through the Stage Door, hosted by the great Rob Dion, followed by a replay of Friday night's Retro Spectrum Radio with Paulie C. And I, of course, am one of Paul's co-hosts on that show, along with DJ Steve and Mike from Queen City Cabinetry. So there is plenty coming up if you are listening live on Tuesday. And otherwise, I will talk at you all a little bit later. Bye, everybody.